The last days of Byzantium. On May 29, 1453, the roar of the world's largest cannon shattered the morning silence. For over 1,000 years, the mighty walls of Constantinople had stood unconquered. But on this day, everything would change. The last Roman emperor would die sword in hand, and with him, the final remnant of Rome would vanish. Picture it. A city of barely 50,000 souls, encircled by an Ottoman army more than 100,000 strong, outnumbered 20 to 1. The defenders clung to walls that had saved them for centuries. What they didn't know was that they were witnessing the dawn of a new age, when gunpowder would bring stone fortresses to their knees. Constantinople was no ordinary city. It was the jewel of Christianity, the bridge between Europe and Asia, the guardian of ancient knowledge. For over 11 centuries, it had been the capital of the Byzantine Empire, or, as its people called it, the Roman Empire. By 1453, that empire had dwindled to little more than the city itself. The lion was old, wounded, and surrounded by wolves. And the hungriest wolf of all had just become Sultan of the Ottomans. The rise of Mehmed II. Mehmed II was just 21 when he took the throne for the second time. But don't mistake youth for weakness. Obsessed with Constantinople, he spoke several languages, studied military history, and memorized the city's defenses. His court thought him mad. Those walls had turned back Arabs, Bulgarians, Russians, and even Ottomans. But Mehmed saw what others didn't. Byzantium was bankrupt. Its army was a shadow of its former self. Most of all, he understood that the age of impregnable walls was ending. Gunpowder would change everything. He began methodically.
Keep working.
First,
we must finish
a
this
new
before the
fortress
tides
rose
turn.
on the Bosphorus. Opposite, an older one. Together they choked the strait, cutting off aid from the sea. When Emperor Constantine XI sent ambassadors begging for peace, Mehmed executed them. His message was clear. He would take Constantinople or die trying. Constantine appealed to the West, but help amounted to little more than prayers and a few hundred Genoese soldiers. The city was on its own, building the giant cannon. Enter Orban, a Hungarian engineer with a dangerous idea. He first offered his services to Constantine, but the emperor couldn't pay. Mehmed, however, had gold to spare. Can you build a cannon strong enough to breach Constantinople walls? Mehmed asked. Orban replied, I could build one to shatter the walls of Babylon itself. What he created was the Basilica, a 27-foot bronze monster that fired 1,400-pound stone balls. It took 60 oxen to move it and 200 men to guard and operate it. The cannon could only fire 7 times a day, but each shot thundered like the wrath of God. And it wasn't alone. Mehmed assembled over 70 cannons of varying sizes, the largest artillery force the world had ever seen. The medieval world was about to collide with the age of gunpowder. Siege begins, walls versus firepower. On April 6, 1453, the Ottoman army appeared before the city. Infantry, cavalry, engineers, and the dreaded cannons filled the horizon. Inside the walls stood fewer than 7,000 defenders, soldiers, monks, and civilians with makeshift weapons, led by Emperor Constantine and the seasoned Genoese commander Giovanni Giustiniani. Constantinople's defense rested on the Theodosian Walls, 3 layers of stone, the innermost 40 feet high and 15 feet thick. For centuries, they had repelled every invader, but they were built in an age before gunpowder. On April 12th, Basilica roared. Its first shot smashed into the outer wall, shaking the city. Citizens fell to their knees in prayer. The walls cracked, but did not collapse. Day after day, the bombardment continued. By night, defenders rushed to patch the breaches with stones, wood, and earth. Women and children formed chains, carrying rubble to repair the damage. Even the emperor worked on the walls, shoulder to shoulder with his people. The final breach. By late May, both sides were near exhaustion. The defenders had held nearly 2 months, but their numbers and hope were dwindling. No help was coming. Mehmed grew impatient. Advisors urged retreat, but he refused. Instead, he ordered an all-out assault for May 29th. The night before, fires lit the Ottoman camp. Soldiers sharpened weapons and prayed. Inside the city, church bells tolled without pause. Enemies embraced as brothers, knowing this might be their last night alive. At 1:30 a.m., the assault began. Waves of Ottoman troops hurled themselves at the battered walls. The defenders fought with desperate courage. Then disaster struck. Giovanni Giustiniani, the master of the defense, was mortally wounded by a crossbow bolt. As he was carried off, Genoese morale collapsed. A small gate was left open in the confusion. Ottoman troops surged through. By dawn, Ottoman flags flew over the inner wall. Emperor Constantine, seeing the end, cast aside his imperial regalia, drew his sword, and charged into the fray. He was never seen again. Aftermath and legacy. By noon it was over. Constantinople, once eternal, lay in Ottoman hands. Mehmed the Conqueror entered the city in triumph. He went straight to the Hagia Sophia, Christendom's greatest church, and ordered it transformed into a mosque. The shockwaves were immense. The last link to the Roman Empire was gone. Yet from this ending came beginnings. Byzantine scholars fled west, carrying ancient texts that would help ignite the Renaissance. Constantinople, renamed Istanbul, became the glittering jewel of the Ottoman Empire for nearly 5 centuries. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the medieval world. No wall could resist gunpowder. Warfare and history itself had changed forever. Conclusion. The fall of Constantinople teaches us that no empire is eternal. Yet from its ashes came new knowledge, new power, and a new age. Today, Istanbul still stands as a bridge between East and West. The walls Mehmed breached remain, silent witnesses to the day the medieval world ended. If you found this story fascinating, hit subscribe for more deep dives into history. What event should we cover next? Leave your ideas in the comments. And remember, history isn't just the past. It is a story of how we became who we are today.